All right. Hello, race fans and hot rodders. I'm Jim McHugh, your host, and I'm talking to the very funny and talented Richie Minervini. How are you, sir?
What do you mean, race fans and hot rods?
Those are my followers, man.
I love that. All right, my buddy Kevin James is doing a new show. It's called The Crew, and it's sponsored by NASCAR.
Oh, my goodness.
I said, Kevin, how are you going to fit in a car? And he said, I am a crew chief. NASCAR is going to show all the old 50s, 60s vintage footage. So they're going to shoot from the 60s, and they're going to give it that 60s flavor.
Oh, wow.
And NASCAR happens to be the biggest sports fans, and it goes 12 months a year. So it's not like baseball. It's not like any other show. This is going to be big.
And they learned how to get sponsors better than anyone.
And the drivers are so nice to their fan base. They're all like Wayne Newton. They'll wait for 3 hours shaking hands until everybody's gone. every one of them is a gentleman. Yeah.
We got to do that with comedy. We got to get jumpsuits and get sponsors, Richie Minervini, brought to you by Coca-Cola, AutoZone, and...
I think I had enough years with Coke. I think maybe we'll try something, maybe club soda.
Okay. Well, whatever works.
Long time ago, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you were a club owner back in the day.
Back in the day, I was a realtor, and with a desire to be a comedian, and I was going to catch a rising star in Dangerfields, and I'm thinking, man, all this money, and all we're getting is a hamburger and fries and one drink. And that money at the door belongs to the comedians, the way I see it.
Yeah.
Even though we sucked. So this guy who had this building, he died. His son was a little bit older than me. He said, I don't know what to do with this thing. I said, all right, I'll tell you what. Let me put up a comedy sign, and we'll still sell it as a restaurant. We put up this sign. We were packed for 3 weeks. Like packed 7 nights in a row. I bought the lease. We shut down. And Jim Myers, it was a comedy club not only owned by a comedian, built by comedians. Myers was a carpenter. Frankie Pace, not a Long Island comic, a plumber. Don McHenry, who wrote It's a Bug's Life, was a carpet guy. Rob Bartlett and Bobby Nelson, hammers and nails. Eddie Murphy came in once in a while. He did hit a couple of hammers and nails and did some painting. It was Bobby Woods and myself. Yeah. So
well, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. It was really
so a lot of guys
cool.
who are bragging about their comedy, their skills, what they can actually do.
Yeah, I remember.
Who's good with a plumber's wrench?
Oh my! It was one night we got jammed up. It was a Saturday night. The first time we did 3 shows, and it was winter time. I called up Frankie Pace and go, Frankie, are you available? Yeah, I get there. All right, get here as fast as you can. And this, he drives 25 minutes, but he gets there in 15. And he goes, you want me in the middle? You want me the headline? I said, let's get this shit out of the ladies' room. And that's a story I've never been told. He's like, what? I said, look, if you do that, you can go on stage. He goes, I'm all dressed up. I go, you got your plumber's truck with you here? Yeah. So he comes in, flushes everything out, and then he goes on stage and he crushes. Yeah. And then he punched a hole in my wall for humiliating him because Bob Woods already heard the story, and he came down. Yeah.
Now, what year was that when you started that club?
1979, according to Jackie the Joke Man Martling. So this way I say that because I don't want to sound like I'm bragging.
Yeah.
The first comedy club on Long Island that wasn't, not on Long Island, in the country, that wasn't a showcase club. There was already Improv, Dangerfields, Catch, where comedians got paid money and set the precedent of what money was like. I mean, I literally said, well, if we're getting $5 at Dangerfields, I'll make it 15. And at the end of the week, I was like, oh, here's a ton of money left. We could probably make this 25 with 10 guys. I went, oh my God, there's a lot of money left. We can make this $75 for 5 guys, 10 guys. Oh my God. We can make it $100 for the headliner, $75 for the middle, $50, and then $10 a piece if anybody else wants to jump on the show. And there was still a ton of money left. So it got up to about $1,800 for in about 3 years, it was like $1,500 for the headliner for like 6 days of work.
Wow, great.
The rest of the country found, and now you know what it is? It's about the same price now for
Same
these four
price. I was
guys.
just going to say that.
Unless you're a
Zero.
known guy and can put asses in the seats,
Yep.
that's what the money is on clubs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you have a lot of. I think it sounds like you're pretty generous, and you had a lot of friends or comedians. That's why you're still friends with all these guys.
Well, I was always a comic first and the club owner second. Listen, my desire was to be a comedian.
Right.
My ability to get on stage was I owned the club, so I could MC. And as soon as I got really sucky, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bobby Nelson.
Yeah, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eddie Murphy. Ladies and gentlemen, Jackie the Joke Man Martling. So after a while, I got good enough, and I had guys like Robert Klein in there. And I didn't really value myself as a comedian. And someone said, why don't you try to do material after Klein? I went, what are you, nuts? That's Robert Klein. So let's go over and thank him. Thank Robert Klein, do a couple of jokes. I went, I'll try it. I went over there, and I came off the stage. Robert Klein goes, I want to talk to you. I said, what? Would you like to open for me? I'm doing Hofstra College. I went, really? He said, I didn't know you were funny until after I saw you, after me. He said, yeah, I'd really like to have you open for me. I went, okay. So I was a club owner in my head, and that's where the most of the money. And then in '95, when I got rid of the club, I sold it to the government for 10 cents on the dollar. They got a good deal.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm a comedian." And then I only made $25,000 in '95. We moved to South Carolina. My wife wanted out of Long Island, and then the next year I went back to like the regular money I was making. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm really a comedian." So I was around for 20 years before I went, okay, the car I drive, the house I live in, that's all comedy. That's not club owner. Yeah, the vacation I took was from the comedy. So now I know I was a comedian.
Yeah, if you're anything like me, now, I mean, this is a strange time we're living in. But my wife's a flight attendant. I'm a comedian. They say, when do you take vacations? We would stay at home for vacations, you know?
Yeah.
Like we both travel so much. But now, I mean, what's happening now? I mean, do you have any kind of inkling as when we can all go back to work? Or?
Well, most of my work is now cruise ship work. And I was on a ship on March 3rd. They said, do you want to stay? Because we might be going out in a week or two. And yeah. And then the next day he said, Richie, get out of your cabin in 2 hours. You're going home. My piano player friend stayed quarantined for 7 weeks. And first we were thinking like, oh, you poor son of a gun. And then it got to be like, they got paid for 7 weeks. Didn't have to scrub anything. They were hanging out. They were drinking, playing the piano at night with their friends. And I was like, that would have been a nice 7 weeks. I thought being home was good.
No, they got paid for those weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And then it was pretty cool. On Princess Cruise Line, there were a couple of people going crazy because they lived below water. And they ended up letting the people out from below deck and move into the passenger cabins. So the officers had balconies. The entertainers had windows, and balconies. And then all the people from the bottom moved above the water base, which was great.
Are any of the cruise ships going now? I mean,
Not a one. The government put September 15th on. I think Disney said they're not going to sail through 2021. And Jim, this might lose me work or get me work. I got off in March. He said it's going to be a month and a half. We're going to go out in May. And in May, they said we're going to go out in June. And June, they said July. July, they went to August. And now they went to September 15th.
I just saw that.
Mandated not one ship out there.
Well, I was saying to somebody, it's a complicated thing to restart an industry that big. You got to get everyone for every one of those jobs, fly them in from all over the country.
Well, they had a lot of below water people out there thinking that the next month is Rio and it was going to be cheaper for them to keep 1,000 people, 800 people on a ship than rather than fly them home and fly them back. And sadly, some of those people got off the ship by going overboard. Yeah, so they realized,
really?
Okay, oh yeah, there were a couple. Now they sent everybody home.
I also think you're dealing with a lot of different countries that these guys go to. and they're not all saying they're going to let the ships back in yet.
Oh, absolutely. I think when it comes back, it's going to be like it was when we started: 3-day, 4-day, 5-day cruises, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, St. Thomas, Key West, private island, and they're going to do it that way.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I tell you what, they opened up South Carolina, they opened up Florida. People came in the last 3 weeks. Everything is spiked, and now they're shutting down again. Yeah, I'm going to the Comedy Cabana on July 5th to the 12th with Bobby Collins.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they're trying. Yeah, I used to live in Pawleys Island, so I can draw 15 or 20 people a night, and Bobby should bring the other 150 in.
That's in Louisville, right?
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach. Oh, I've never been there. I've been to. There was some. I'm confusing them. I
They
forget
would
what
actually
the
love
club
you
was
there.
in.
It's a very touristy section, so the comedians got control because they're not in control. They're not a bunch of locals. So the comedian comes in and you're all powerful. You're the guy on stage. You're from out of town. They're on vacation. Can't find a better crowd.
Great.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. I've heard great things about that area. I've never been down there though, but that's one of the few I haven't been to.
Oh yeah, no, it's a good one, and they get some pretty good acts in there. In the summer, packed every single night, which is you just don't see that anymore.
Yeah, it's funny. I live near the shore here, and it's like we get a lot. It's a summer town. I mean, but I don't know
Well,
how you get people out. They just want to come off the beach and go drinking. I don't know how you get them into a club. They want to buy it because in the Northeast, you know what that's like. They get some nice.
oh yeah,
They don't ever want to go back in. And now with what's happened, they really don't want to go into a small dark room with a
I
bunch
got
of people.
involved with this evergreen vacation homes. A guy hired me to do a show. I went, okay, fine. Would you like to do our other? Yeah. So he sent me to Virginia, and he goes, listen, not too many people showed up on the 9 o'clock show on Tuesday. I think we're going to put a 7 o'clock show. I said, okay, 7 o'clock, fine. They came in from the pool in their bathing suits. I was like, oh man, this is like that old movie. These like old movies from the Catskills. They're sitting there, and their kids and families. I was like, all right, so this is what it is. Thank God I was with Gemini, the magician.
Right.
So he was bringing kids up on stage. I went, I can host this thing, and you can headline.
Right. Absolutely. Good.
We ended up doing 2 shows a night for the same price just to get enough people in.
Wow.
Yeah. And now they're doing like my partner Darcy Novak up in New York had a comedy night at a couple of places. They stopped. Then he went to that social distancing. So she took comedy. So they want me to do a show outside. On the call, Darcy Novak presents. Say, no, that doesn't say anything. Comedy under the stars. They sell out 80 seats. The newspaper comes in, does an article on her and the place. The guy calls up, can you do a show next Friday? She said once a month there. Yeah, they sell that show out. Okay, now it's in the papers. They sell out the next 5 weeks. They haven't done one show yet. So
Wow.
with no one knowing if the speakers are going to bother the neighbors who live in the neighborhood behind them, if the sound is going to be good enough outside in the parking lot, people are desperate to see a comedy show and fearful to go in a building.
Yeah.
So
I see a lot of these they're doing drive-in comedy and stuff.
Jimmy Schubert just flew from California to Rochester, New York. So I think they built a stage. People were in their cars listening, and they had a camera on him that put him on the big screen. So I asked him, I said, could you hear the laughter? He said, not real well. I said, and how do you go? I just pretended they were laughing when they were supposed to be laughing. He said, and then I said, flash your horns if you like it. And they flashed their horns, and everyone's flashing their horns and lights. And yeah, and he was like, oh, thank God. So he was able to go on knowing that they were enjoying it.
Oh, wow. That
Yeah.
would mess your timing up, though.
Well, it would for me. Joey Cola, Long
Yeah,
Island's king.
I know. I don't know him. I know who he is.
Okay.
I've
He's
seen.
the king of the warm up. He's warmed up for Kathy Lee, and now he's Rachel Ray. He was with Rosie for a number of years. He won an Emmy. Martha Stewart. So he does his show from his living room, not with a laugh track, with just people laughing. And he's pounding away. He does 12 minutes. I watched it and went, okay. A lot of people commented, this is great, Joey. Thank you very much. So I said, I'm going to do this, you know. So I put my camera up. I'm in my living room. I don't have a laugh track. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Great to be here in my living room. I'm a where you all from? How'd you get here? You enjoying the weather? You enjoying the town? And I'm like, okay, y'all married. This isn't working. I'm out of here. So I didn't go live, and I showed someone. They said, oh, you got to put that out there. I went, all right. So I just put it out there. It was a minute and a half of me struggling, sweating. I go, and then you just see me going off.
You know, I've been dodging them. You know, people invite you to these Zoom comedy shows and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know if I just can't imagine going well, and then it's out there forever. Oh no, it's just gonna go up like no, it's gonna be forever.
Yeah, forever. I did an hour, a minute and 45 seconds. It looked ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It was funny. I didn't mind it going out there.
Well, that's not, and a minute and a half's not bad, but when they want you to do like a 30-minute set on a, you know, no.
Well, I did a cooking show with Scott Record, and all of a sudden I see these faces, and I go, oh, it's the first time he's ever Zoomed. I go, I didn't realize there was going to be other guests. And one of the guests is picking his nose. I go, hey, Scott, who are the other guests? He goes, no other guests, just me and you. I go, I see 10 people at the bottom of my screen. He goes, well, my camera's away from me. I can't see. He doesn't want to put his glasses on. I go, then you hear, hi, Scott. I'm Frank from Texas. I go, well, Frank from Texas is picking his nose in the corner over here. And so the next thing, Frank didn't know he was on camera. Yeah, I mean, now, then there's that Judy, great, oh, God, great act, big, tall girl.
Judy,
Judy Gold.
yeah.
Yeah. She did a show, but she found out how to make the laughter come through so she can hear it without the people coming through. So the Zoom experience is being perfected.
Right, it's evolving.
So I mean, I can see if you're doing your stuff and hearing live laughter,
Right.
yeah, without hearing their voices, that how it could work. But I don't think this old dog is ready for some new tricks.
I don't know, me either. I don't know. I'm right behind you.
So I see they're opening up Giggles in Boston.
Yeah, this weekend they're doing Friday and Saturday. I was actually I was thinking about maybe going out there and just seeing how they're doing. Mike and he's got his crew out there. You know, you work there.
Oh, a number of times. Love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
In fact, he said 2 shows. I went, all right. There was 1 show in one room. There's a benefit in another room. And then you go back to this room. I was like, this is great.
Yeah,
it was really
a lot. I mean, that day that's a huge hub of traffic in the North Shore. And for those of you who don't know, but anyone from Boston knows Giggles. Lenny Clarke is one of the big acts here in Boston, and Mike books a lot of comedy, as well as I think he's Lenny's manager as well.
Yeah.
He has some of the greatest acts. You know, all the Ding Ho guys go up there and stop in.
You got the Godfather, Don Gavin. You got Tony
Oh,
G.
yeah. I don't know. Don's
got
in Florida now. He's
I did a gig with him recently. Before the pandemic, we had a great time together. And I invited him to a card game. He goes, during the pandemic? I went, yeah, we don't care. Just a bunch of guys. He goes, all right, count me in. What's the buy-in? I said, nothing, just $50. When he gets to 200, you give me a call. I'm not driving 45 minutes for a $50 buy. I went, okay.
those guys are tough, man. You know, I always remember like working at Giggles. I'd be like the opening act or something, and you'd have like Rogerson and Gavin and Sweeney and Lenny, and they're all in the other half, in the other end of the restaurant. They're all watching the game. They got more money on the game than they're making doing comedy every night. You know.
And then there's the great line. They're playing poker one night. They used to always play poker when they used to drink. And God is Boston a clean set. No one's drinking up there anymore.
Right.
Jackie Flynn gets up to walk, and he stumbles. And Gavin, and I do this line. I've been doing this line since Jackie told me. In a mall, any place you see someone stumble, Gavin says, "Stay up. I got money on you." Anytime someone stumbles in the mall, I can't help it. I yell it out, and people look at me like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Yeah, if I was a famous comedian, they would go, "Oh, very funny. Look at that. Don Rickles just made fun of me falling." But it's like, who's that wise guy? Making fun of my father with Parkinson's.
uh, so you're gonna be in this NASCAR movie coming out with.
TV show called The Crew.
It's a TV show.
TV show.
Oh,
They were in shooting. They shot 2 episodes. Didn't put anything together. Pandemic hit. They cut down the theater. The
oh.
yeah, but it's still hot on the fires.
And
Like
what's the
sometimes
role
if it
you
had
play?
it gone,
A role on this?
there's one promised. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
probably not, maybe not a speaking role. Maybe the guy with the black checkered flag going. No, there should be something for me. Kevin's always been real generous uh,
Yeah, yeah.
with gigs. Yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
yeah.
And you get back
So
to Long Island ever, or?
I am going back on July 25th for our 56th family reunion, which they just canceled.
Ah,
But I'm going back anyway. The older folks. 56. I've been going since I'm 66 now, so I've been going for that long.
wow.
I used to stand in right field next to my dad, at 8 years old, 10 years old. And then it got to the point when I was 14, 15, I'd be picked for the starting 10 softball. And then from the time I was 11 to 24, I was athletic. And a couple of years ago, they went, all right, we'll take Uncle Richie. I had to waddle over there, and I was like, oh, my God. So last year, I said, I'm the captain of my team. My brother's the captain of the other team. All right, this is where it's going to go. So, it's ridiculous. So we start, me and my brother, we go out and we start throwing catch 3 months before and go to the batting cages to swing, just so when we go to the family picnic, we don't embarrass ourselves in front of
Right,
people.
right, right.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
And you're gonna be running to first base, stumbling. One of your nephews is gonna go, "Keep going, I got money on you."
Well, I tell you what, I had two knee surgeries, and I bunted. And they would go, we can't bunt. It's not in the rules. No one said there was no bunting. I bunted onto base because the guy in from third. Probably shouldn't have bunted, being that we didn't have a catcher. Yeah. But so that's about that. But I started, oddly enough, in TV in Boston.
No kidding.
Claudia McMahon from Star Search came out to East Side Comedy Club. We're backstage with John Maroney, Bobby Woods, Jackie Martling. And right before the show, 10 minutes before the show, she says, no cursing. I went, what? What do you mean no cursing? She says, no cursing allowed. I went, oh, my God. Okay. So I got Woodsy back there and Martling, John Maroney. So I said, all right, do not film my first 10 minutes. I'm just going to warm up the crowd, explain to them. We got TV cameras here. It's the first time we had TV cameras, 1987. I said, this is all on TV. If you're with someone you're not supposed to be with, the wife or something, I suggest you leave now. And a guy gets up with a woman. I go, sir, not while the cameras are rolling. Make it look a little bit cooler. Yeah. I called you adulterer, and I called her a whore. You're a whore. You're an adulterer. And then I said, listen, I just heard news from backstage. There'll be no cursing, which there normally isn't at the East Side Comedy Club. So if you don't want to hear F, S, burp, bop, bop, I laid them all out. And the audience was hysterically crazy laughing. They do the show. I do a fourth spot. I go up and do my own spot. I said to Claudia, she goes, oh, my God, you were so funny. I'm sorry I didn't have the cameras rolling.
Oh.
I said, why didn't you have the cameras rolling? Well, after your first spot with all the cursing, we didn't want to waste the film.
Oh.
I went, oh, my God. She said, but I'll make it up to you. I said, how? So she called me up and said, do you want to come to Boston a couple of days later? I said, yeah. I've never been to Boston.
Sure.
She said, all right, yeah, just tell me what hotel I'm staying at and tell me where the airline tickets are. And well, you have to get your own tickets and your own hotel. So I go to Boston. I meet all the Boston guys. Phil Nee was in there. Phil Van T, Tony V.
Sure.
And I was like, and they all go up and I'm like, oh, my God. And then I went, wait a minute. They all are the same. Similar. I'm the outsider coming in. I know ice hockey. I know they're all big. I think my opening line was, "Is there a sports bar around here that doesn't have a picture of Bobby Orr?" That's what I'd like to see. Something like. Anyway, 2 minutes later, she tells me the next day, "You're in." Flies out to Hollywood. I went up against Rosie O'Donnell, who was like in my improv group and a beginner. She was taking beginner classes, and she said, "I'm going to win." I go, "Okay, Rosie, how's that going to happen?" He said, "Ed McMahon likes me and Claudia likes me, and they switched you and not Mark, Steve Middleman. Steve Middleman won the New York Laugh. Steve Middleman won the New York Laugh Off contest. He came in first, and he was that good.
Oh,
Coming in second was Jerry Seinfeld. Coming in third was Carol Leifer. Fourth was Mark Schiff, and fifth was Eddie Murphy.
wow.
Yeah. And then when they went famous, it was like Eddie was first, and Seinfeld was second, and Leifer was third, and Middleman was fifth. TV's a big deal. So Rosie's telling me they switched Middleman and you so I can beat you. I said, "Well, how are you going to beat me?" She said, it just is." I went, "All right." So I thought I heard him say 3.75 stars for me and 3 for her. So I said, "Okay, Rosie." I said, "You're young. You still have a future." And Ed McMahon comes over and goes, "Good luck with your club, young man." I was in the teleprompter. "Ladies and gentlemen, Rosie, the champion Rosie, is being challenged by the man who owns the comedy club where she started, her boss, Richie Minervini." So I called Tom and Jenny, my manager, and I go, "Listen, Tom, I told him I didn't want the introduction. I'm just a comedian. Don't mention Eastside. I didn't ask for a plug. Just another comedian from Long Island." And the guy sits in the teleprompter, and Tom and Jenny, who's very knowledgeable now, went, "Well, if it's in the teleprompter, what are we going to do?" We didn't know the teleprompter could be changed in 4 seconds.
Yeah, the guy
So
just
2 o'clock in the afternoon, we're shooting at 8 o'clock at night. It was in the teleprompter already.
yeah, he didn't chip it into a granite.
Yeah. So,
All right.
so it was. Hey, you know what? Friends of mine have been on the show, and they told me how nervous they were. And then in the back, they're going, 20 million people are watching. I went out, I saw 350 people and 3 guys behind cameras. So I had a fine show. I wasn't nervous, wasn't upset. I went, "Okay, that's a win. That's a win for me." I saw guys who I really respect in the business and just fall apart. They blanked, and all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do when I get out there?" It was nothing. It was great.
That's a good way to be.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, Richie, is there anything you want to plug or anything on my?
Well, that'd be fun. Yes, I'm going
Because
down
forget
to.
about those 20 million people. Now you're on the big comedy podcast. Everything's gonna change.
But the beauty is, it doesn't change. 20 million or 10. I'll tell you what, I went into I guess I owe George Wallace a great deal of gratitude. I was not a comedian. I was paying my $5 or $6 to get to catch a rising star. I got there 8 o'clock when it started. It probably was 2:30 in the morning. Seeing David Brenner came in, Freddie Prinze came in. It was after Robert Klein came in to do guest spots. Uh, Kelly Rogers was emceeing. Richard Belzer was the hot shot then. And probably there for about 2.5 hours, but no laughs. It was packed, and there's 12 people left, and George Wallace walks in at 30 in the morning. The only guy who didn't mention there was only 12 people in the audience, so they were dead or quiet. He did his freaking act to a packed room, and I saw this guy work, and I went, "Oh my God." First I thought there was something wrong with him. Doesn't he know there's nobody here? But he had us all laughing individually. I went, "All right, if I ever do step up on that stage." And then he said it and he left. He goes, "Listen, ladies and gentlemen, all I'm telling you is I'm not working to the people who aren't sitting here. I'm just working to the people who are sitting here. So it's just me and you. That's all we got." And he went
Great.
on this, and I went,
He's got
"Yeah.
great timing too. That once he gets him into his groove, he's got him. He can say anything.
Oh my." Hey, you saw him. I saw him in the beginning. He used to come out as the Reverend George Wallace.
No, that's before my time.
Oh, he had like a college gown. And oh, yeah, he came out holy rolling. Yeah.
Ah,
Oh, it was wild to see, and I guess I watched David Say was an act, and then he became an MC, and he would talk to us, and I was like, "Hey, how do you get from being wanna be a comedian to being a comedian? You just got to come in here." And I'm like, So Belzer harassed me once. I was just an audience member. I went to the bathroom, and it was horrible. It was disgusting. And I came out here, and Belzer said something. Well, would you just have gas? Yeah, it was an awfully quick trip. I said, I like this club, Catch a Rising Star. It's very symbolic. I said, there's shit on stage and there's shit all over the toilet floor, the bathroom floor. And there was. And people laughed. I got such a big laugh. I was like, oh my God, that's that Richard Belzer guy. I think I can do this.
Yeah.
And I signed up for the next week. And I was like, and Belzer was staring at me. Thank God we became friends later.
Yeah.
But that was the lead. Then I'm not a Carson fan, but David Say I would talk to all the time. I'm in bed. I get up for no particular reason. I put on the TV. Third guest, ladies and gentlemen, I was in New York City a few nights ago. I saw a young man making his first national TV appearance, David Say. I went, hey, that name sounds familiar. Out of the curtains comes this guy with his hair blown dry, makeup on, a new leather coat. I went, oh, the guy I know has a flannel shirt, doesn't comb his hair. And all of a sudden I heard the first joke. Yeah, I was a school teacher. I said, where's the president live? The kid raised his hand, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And the Puerto Rican kid said, what apartment? And I went, that's him. That's him. So I remember thinking I could be as bad as he was.
Right.
I saw him develop over 9 months. And I could be bad. Yeah, I could be real bad. So we started and I was bad. And
that's a great, healthy way to do it.
yeah. I mean, to watch someone go from 0 to 60 like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We can do that. Yeah.
All right. Well,
all right.
What's your social media, just in case anybody wants to follow you?
Richie Minervini at Facebook.com. I friend everybody who friends me.
Okay.
We don't talk politics.
Oh, that's a good move.
Oh, yeah, my gosh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Stay away from that.
Yeah, there's social distancing, there's political distancing, there's the mask now. I also use cotton in my ears for political distancing.
All right, Richie, thank you so much for being on the show.
No, thank you, Jim.
And thanks for the gigs at the Borgata, too. I don't know if I ever thanked you for those.
Well, I think to the audience standing up, giving you those standing ovations was thanks enough.
All right, take care, my friend.
Right back at you, pal.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.